afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Lair of the Film Exorcist. Today, we will be doing one of the greatest sequels in the world, Star Wars Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back. One of the #1 sequels to ever be created. It came out in 1980, and let's get down to the plot. Basically, it takes place a few months to a year. Actually, I don't know the actual time period that this happens, but it happens right after Yavin 4. After the Death Star was blown up, the rebels have relocated to Hoth, where they're just trying to survive right now because of the big attack they had. The big impact the Death Star had on the Empire. And we're following the same people from the first movie: Luke, Leia, Han, Chewie, R2, and C-3PO. And basically we go through a really great love story between Han and Leia, and then it takes us to places like Dagobah, where we meet Yoda for the first time, and then Cloud City, where we have the greatest conflict between father and son. So let's get down to it. Was directed by Irvin Kershner, produced by Gary Kurtz, screenplay by Lee Brackett and Lawrence Kasdan, story by George Lucas, music by John Williams, cinematography by Peter Saschetsky, edited by Paul Hirsch. And onto the locations. And we have Hardanger, Jakulin Glacier, Finse, Norway, which is the Hoth exterior, Elster Studios, Hertfordshire, London, which is the Millennium Falcon and the rest. And onto the cast. Basically, we've got Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker, the farm boy become Jedi learner, or Padawan, kind of. We have Harrison Ford back as Han Solo, our valiant smuggler turned scoundrel, who's a big part of this movie. We have Carrie Fisher playing Leia Organa, who's the love interest of Han Solo in this movie, and again, another big part. We have Billy D. Williams as Lando Calrissian, the leader of Cloud City and an old acquaintance of Han, who is also known for Harvey Dent in Batman, Lando Calrissian in the Lego Movie, and Two-Face in the Lego Batman movie. We also have Anthony Daniels as C-3PO, David Prowse as Darth Vader, James Earl Jones as the voice of Darth Vader, with Peter Mayhew back as Chewbacca, Kenny Baker as R2-D2, Frank Oz is finally in the series. We finally get to see him on this review, who he's mostly known for Fozzie Bear, Miss Piggy, Sam Eagle, Animal in the Muppet franchise, all those movies and TV shows. He also does Bert, Grover, and Cookie Monster in the Sesame Street franchise, the movies and the long-running TV show. We have Jeremy Bulloch as Boba Fett, the original. Jason Wingard as the voice of Boba Fett, also known for train conductor in Twilight Zone, A Stop at Willoughby, which is one of my favorites in the Twilight Zone series. We also have Tamara Morrison as the voice of Boba Fett in the 2004 version. Clive Reveal as the voice of the Emperor in the original. Marjorie Eaton as the Emperor, well, the girl behind the mask, and Ian McDermott plays the Empire in the 2004 version. We also have Alec Guinness back as Obi-Wan Kenobi, but in spirit. Julian Glover as General Veers. Shout out to Veers Watch. He's known for Walter Donovan in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, Aragog in Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, and Grand Maester Pycelle in Game of Thrones. We also have my favorite, Kenneth Colley as Admiral Piet, and on to favorite scenes. Let's start this off with the Battle of Hoth. It's the first major conflict we see between the rebels and the Empire. It's the first time we get to see these massive walkers attacking a small rebel force. I mean, who can forget the first time they ever saw an AT-AT or an AT-ST? It was just an amazing moment in history, and just how powerful the Empire is compared to a small rebel force, as the AT-ATs are just blasting away the rebel forces on the ground, and the amazing use of tow cables by the speeders, and just how creative this movie can get with its battles. We also have Luke's conflict, which basically, it's the part where he goes into the cave, fights Vader, and finds out that his true enemy is not Vader or the dark side, but himself. He's got a true conflict between him and what he wants to be. But also, some may claim that it actually means that Luke is Darth Vader's son in a way, or connected to Darth Vader, so that's why his head's in the helmet. But I like to think of it more in the philosophical way of he is his own enemy. And it's just a really great scene done with the slow motion, and it's the first time we actually see Luke fight someone or defeat someone with a lightsaber. And then we've got Luke versus Vader. Guys, this is the fight everyone remembers from this series. It's the moment that we watch Luke and Vader fight for the very first time, and it's a really good fight. Basically, it's the scene and the big fight that gave us the line, Luke, I am your father. No, wait. Scratch that. No, I am your father. Which is a really great line, and my God, this is, even though it's slow and it's not one of the better ones, I'd give that to like 3 or 6. This is a really good battle, and it's fast-paced, and it keeps you watching. And each time I watch it, it gets me kind of giddy when I watch it. It's just the use of the Force and the big fight between Luke and his much better adversary, Darth Vader, and just how we find out how much Luke really needs to learn before he can come onto Darth Vader's level, and it's really good. Onto my two favorite lines. Let's start it off with Leia. Why, you stuck-up, half-witted, scruffy-looking nerf herder. Who's scruffy-looking? Guys, this is a very funny line during the whole... It happens right after they find Luke and Han nestled in the Tauntaun And it shows how annoying Leia can get, but also how clueless Han Solo really is towards women. I mean, the only thing he literally hears in that is scruffy looking, where she literally laid off multiple insults and burned him completely, and all he cares about is how he looks. And it shows kind of a development later on from this, where he becomes more... Right now he's a scoundrel. He becomes more of a heroic character and more romantic, I guess you could say. But next one is, and you guys hopefully knew this was coming, no, I am your father. But Darth Vader. Basically, this was the line that opened many mouths. And it's, like you saw before, it can be interpreted wrongfully as, Luke, I am your father. No. It's, no, I am your father. And it's just, it was a huge reveal and no one knew about it. Except for George Lucas and Mark Hamill during the first time he filmed it. And it was a huge surprise. And it's just a really good line. And it's been heard all over. And it's mainly known. It's one of those main catchphrases that you hear all over because everyone remembers that moment. And on to the confusing moment in this movie that really got me. There was one in episode 4, but I decided not to put it in, but this one is just too hard to ignore. Basically, it's when Obi-Wan puts his hands up when telling Luke not to give in to hate because it leads to the dark side. I don't understand why Alec Guinness put his hands up during this scene. I mean, it makes no sense. It just looks stupid as he's... Basically, it's one of those moves when you're trying to be defensive. And it's just weird. It doesn't belong in this scene, and it's just... If I didn't really like this movie, it might have actually taken me out of the experience. Because why would you have your hands up in the air defensively so you could show, oh, hate leads to the dark side, so don't give in to hate. It just doesn't make sense. Why do you have your hands up? And yeah. So, let's get on to my opinion, because we're doing this episode a little differently. I wanted to make some changes to make it a lot quicker, so, on to my opinion. Basically, it's a really good romance that many movies wish they could copy. I mean, look at episode 2. They tried to do something similar, and they completely failed. But this movie, it got its formula done perfectly. I mean, it's a princess, a scoundrel, getting together in the end, and it's just... I mean, what woman hasn't swooned over Han Solo? I mean, he's such a great character, and he's the guy many men wish they could be, and then we've got the conflict where Luke is trying to become a Jedi. He's too reckless. He goes off for adventure, and this is the movie where he learns you can't be a whiny little kid, and you need to take responsibility, and you need to make sure you've got your shit together before you ever decide to go up during a huge conflict. And this is why he loses his hand, because he was too reckless. And even Yoda explained it, and Luke didn't believe it. But yeah, this is a really good romantic adventure movie, especially with the from beginning to end. When I watched it personally, I was literally glued to my seat. I mean, from the beginning where Luke has to grab his lightsaber to get away from the Wampa, it was really good. To the end where we see the big fight between Darth Vader and Luke, and then just the very sad scene of Luke and Leia looking off as Lando and Chewbacca go off to start the plan to save Han Solo, and it's just, this movie is really good. In my opinion, it's a 9.9. Yes, I'm saying it's better than Episode 3, but you all knew that. I still like Episode 3. It's still one of my favorites. But this, for me, is second place to Solo, but it's still a really good sequel, and I couldn't imagine Star Wars without it. So, yeah, next week I'll be doing Return of the Jedi, and thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Click the little notification bell at the bottom, and have a great night. May the Force be with you, and we'll see you next week.